Okay, good morning, everyone. Uh, Now time flies, right? So we are already here. Okay, this is the eighth. This is the eighth week of the semester, and actually because we have a shortened semester, so we are already in the middle of the class already. Up to this point of time, we already finished the R programming, all of the R programming techniques, right? Including the basic programming, the basic data operation. I told you that the most important thing in R programming is like three commands, right? Table, T apply, and L apply, right? As long as you can use these three commands plus the index, then you can use R programming already, right? That's the R basics. And then we start to get into the packages, right? We put R into action. We use it to analyze some real data, right? And see how we can apply the technique in R to do things, right? And then we start to apply. We start to introduce. 2 weeks ago, we started to introduce the packages, right? The data processing package, or I should say the data frame processing package. Let me go here, it's easier. So we started to do the dplyr data processing package, right? And then we go into the data frame visualization packages, right? Now these two packages is very important. When you are doing your homework assignment about the Tafang retail store data, you should already see that, right? When you want to process business data, say the Tafan database has how many records? It's like 18,000 something, right? No. It's like no, it's more than that. How big is the Tafan data set? Still remember? It's like, let me see. Now, when we start to process the real business data, see in this Tafan data set, that data set actually have 81,000 records, right? The raw data is 81,000, but this 81,000 they are older items, right? Every older items has a record, right? So, but item is not what we want to analysis, right? Nowadays, when we do marketing, we say there are two major principles of today's marketing, right? Customer oriented and data oriented, right? So we want to analyze the customer, right? So we need to aggregate the older item into order, right? Every order has a lot of items inside one order. And every customer would, if they repeat buying from us, they will have a lot of orders, right? So we need to aggregate the data based on the unit of analysis. Let me say it again. This is very important, right? The first thing you do analysis of anything. When we say we analyze anything, we analyze a unit of analysis, right? We have a subject of research, right? So if our subject of research is customer, then we need to aggregate the data, right, based on that customer, right? So we want to know how many orders this customer buy from us, right? We want to know his average buying amount, right? We want to know what are the product that they have bought, right? So with this information, we can project that when will be the next time we will start to predict when is the next time that this customer will come back, right? We can try to predict that if we recommend some product to this customer, it will have a higher probability to be accepted, right? Isn't it, right? And this is This is business analytics, and to do that, you need to have two major skills, right? The first skill is actually processing the data, right? And this is what this Tafan One notebook do for you, right? Okay, you process the data. Basically, you aggregate the data, you summarize the data to your subject of research, right? You aggregate this order item into customer, and customer is your subject of research, right? And so you can do research on customer, isn't it? Right? Now after that aggregation, you will have a customer data frame, isn't it? Right? You want to look into the customer data frame and see what your customer population is like, right? And that is what we do in uh, before that. To do this data processing, you are using a dplyr package, right? You will use this a lot, right? You see this. You use this kind of things, right? Basically, glue by summary, right? Basically, glue by summary, okay? And after you have that data frame, you will look into the data frame and try to understand your business situation, right? You want to know where your revenue come from, where your where your profit come from, right? You want to know your customer. You want to know that can we do customer segmentation so that I can identify group of customer of similar preference, right? And if I know that, if I can divide my customer into the segment of similar preference, then I can design my marketing campaign, right, to address each of this segment, right? That would be much more effective than like doing everything in random, right? Isn't it? Right? So this is the basic idea of business analytics, and up to this point, uh, the plan for today is like, um, last week we have uh, because of time, right? We did not finish the ggplot yet, right? In ggplot, we already learned the scatter plot, right? Geom point scatter plot, and we also learned geom bar, right? Okay, and then actually there is another important ggplot plot type is line plot, right? Okay, I told you already, right? When we last week, let's take a quick look at what we have learned last week. Okay. So this is geom point, geom bar, and geom line. So scatter plot, or in ggplot we call it a line plot, a point, geom point, right? Okay. So it is basically to compare the attribute of subjects, isn't it? Right? Still remember this plot? Usually, each point is a subject, right? And we want to compare the subject's attributes, isn't it? So we map the subject's attribute into the geom attributes. For example, it's x and y coordinate, right? For example, it's color, it's size, it's shape, right? Okay, and when it's appropriate, maybe we also can include the facet, right? The panels, right? And we can include some interactivity so that so that we can observe our data easily, right? Isn't it? Right. So scatter plot is the most important plot, okay? Because by mapping the x-y coordinate, by mapping the point color, point size, point shape, and if you are using the filtering and paneling carefully, appropriately, you can see a lot of things, right? You can compare a lot of attribute of your uh, subject of interest very, very easy, isn't it? Right? So this is the first powerful tool in ggplot. You want to compare a lot of points. That that is the key, right? If you use scatter plot, usually in the old days, the scatter plot can only display a few plots, because if you have too many plots, you cannot see anything at all, right? But nowadays it's different. Why it's different? Because interactivity, right? Okay. In the old days, if you plot like 7,000 points together, right, you basically see nothing, right? But nowadays, you actually can uh, you can use some grouping variable to separate the population, right? Put them in different panels, right? And you can like see you can turn on and turn off some subjects. So in a way that you can see the global phenomenon, you can see the global structure, global trend, and in the other way, you can see the individual detail, isn't it? Right. So scatter plot together with its interactivity is a very, very important explorative tool that you can learn, right? Now this is one thing that we learned last week. The second thing that we learned last week is actually bar plot, right? Bar plot, well, it's easier, a lot easier actually. Um, it is basically just like this, right? You want to see the count, or you want to compare the certain attributes. In this example, I want to count the number of character, right, by ear. I want to count the character by a lines. And I told you that there are three different types of bar plot, right? This is histogram, right? When you're when you when you're doing the count by a continuous variable, by a numeric variable, it will become a histogram, right? Now, when you do the count by a categorical variable, then you will see a bar plot, right? And what is this plot? Anyone still remember? This is not count anymore, right? These are count. These are count. And what is this? What is the y-axis represent, right? What does the y-axis represent? It's a casualty ratio, isn't it? Right? So I'm not counting the number of male and the number of female, right? I'm comparing the casualty ratio across sex, right? Okay, so bar plot is actually we can say that the scatter plot is to compare individual, okay, and bar plot is to compare group, right? Histogram and bar plot, actually you are comparing the group size. Basically, you are comparing the group size because you count, right? You count, so you are comparing the group size. But there's a third type of geom called geom column, right? This geom column you can actually compare anything, right? Right, you can compare the casualty ratio, you can compare the maybe the eyeball, maybe the the ratio of good guys, the ratio of bad guys, or whatsoever, right? But in order to do this comparison, you need to do the group by summary first, right? Unlike a bar plot, you don't need to do anything, right? You just give the data to ggplot and tell them that I want to compare the number by a line, right? And just tell them that I want to compare the number by years, right? Use histogram and bar plot. You don't need to do calculation, right? But if you want to use column plot, you need to group by and summary so that you can get a summary statistic by group, and then you can put it on plot to compare them, right? So that's the bar plot. Bar plot is to comparing group again, right? So the complexity of bar plot will kick in when you have subgroup, right? Because they are comparing group, right? So how about they have subgroup, right? I'm counting the number of character by a line and also by sex, right? I'm counting the number of row by year and also by publisher. So you have subgroup. Then when you have subgroup in your bar plot, you need to be careful because you have different type of presentation style, right? And they actually are using different comparing foundation, right? You want to compare, you need to have a base to compare, right? For example, if I want to compare by sex by a line, right? I want to compare the number of character by sex by a line. I can do it in 3 different ways, okay? So I can put sex here, right? And because by sex by a line, I will have 6 number, right? If I plot this 6 number plus this table in here, right? Basically, I visualize this table, right? So this table has actually 6 ways to visualize. First thing is put sex here, a line here, and then I do bar plot like this, right? And similarly, I can put a line here and sex here, and I do bar plot in here, right? So this is easily this just to visualize this 6 number, right? Okay. When you do comparison this way, it is very easy to compare the subgroup, right? When you measure, when your purpose is to compare the subgroup from each other, the dodge position is the position to choose, right? Because you see, because the all of the subgroup are on the same base, right? Now, if your interest is to compare male and female, right? If your major interest, your major purpose is to compare the number of male and female, stack is the position that you should choose, right? Because you will add up all of the line, right? Isn't it? You add up the number, so female bad, female good, female neutral, male bad, male good, male neutral, right? Okay? So it's easier to compare sex as a total, right? You can stack up the numbers so you can compare the total. So this is another way to present your data. And again, you can put sex here, a line here, and you can also put a line here and sex in the other as color, right? So this is the stack position. So what is the purpose for this fill position? What is the difference between stack and fill? Anyone? Yeah. State is count, and fill is what? Sorry? Fraction, right? Fraction. If you want to compare the count, you use stack, right? Because you can compare the count. But in field, everyone is going to 100%, right? So the count will becomes, it will become fraction. It will become proportion, right? So if you want to compare the ratio, you want to compare the proportion, then you should use the field position. Okay. So again, bar plot is to compare groups, right? And the complexity kick in when you consider the subgroup. So when you have group and subgroup in your bar plot, and it's usually the way, right? It's usually the way. Very seldom I'll see plot like this in business situation, right? In business, you always see things like this, right? But you need to choose the position wisely, right? So depends on what is your major purpose, right? If you want to compare the count of the group, stack is the choice. If you want to compare every subgroup, then dodge is the choice. Okay? If you want to compare the ratio of each subgroup, right? Then you should use the field. You should use the field position. Okay? That is for bar plot. Okay? And then actually we have a third notebook that we did not complete last week, right? So we'll start from this one. So today's plan, I'm planning to do this. Today I will go through the third ggplot notebook, and I will walk you through the Tafang 1 and Tafang 2. Right? By now you should already have some experience with the Tafang data, right? So I will walk you through the Tafang 1 and 2, okay? And kind of review what we have learned up to this point of time, right? Okay. And next week we'll start to do some explorative data analysis, and I will teach you two explorative analysis technique, which is clustering and dimension reduction. Okay. So today's plan is we are going to the third notebook of ggplot, and then Tafang 1 and 2, right? And if we have time, I will start some of the clustering and dimension reduction. But that is majorly left for our next week, right? We do not have a midterm examination, by the way, okay? But we do have a midterm report that I want you to submit, right? Okay? And the midterm report is to explore the Tafang data set, right? You want to figure out the important phenomena, important structure, important information inside the data, and based on the data to do a marketing plan, right? To formulate your marketing strategy. Okay? You want to have a marketing strategy, you need to base on something, right? You cannot just say that this is interesting, so I'm doing that. Right? This is popular, so I'm doing that. Right? Now, doing business data analysis, we want to analyze the data, so we know ourselves, right? We know our business situation. We know where is our revenue, where is our profit come from, right? Okay, so we know our customer, right? We can separate them into different groups, and we know the preference of each different groups, right? So so after you have enough of information of what it is today, so you can have what it is today is not what you want, right? What you want is you want to have some improvement, right? You want to increase your performance, isn't it? That's why we want to do marketing, right? if you are satisfied with what you are, then you don't need to do marketing, right? The reason that you want to do marketing is you want to improve your performance, right? But how, right? To improve your performance, it need to do something to some of the customer, isn't it? Right? You want to do something to some of the customer. So what if you do not have any information? How can you design the something? How can you determine the some customer, right? Isn't it right? So in the first half of our class, I will teach you like data processing, data visualization, data exploration, and use this exploration skill. It will help you to understand yourself, understand the business environment, understand your customer, understand your product category. So you have an understanding of these things. You can start to like formulate your strategy and try to do that, right? Okay. Now, in the first half, we just set the strategy, set the goal, right? You know where you are now today. So you want to, the strategy is that you have a direction, right? You have an objective, right? What do I want to improve, right? And by how much? That is what we call strategy, okay? But in the second half of our class, I will start to do how do I do that, right? In the first half, we just say that, okay, this segment of customer is important, right? I want to improve their frequency of buying, right? From average 2.3 to maybe 3.1, right? That is, you set your focus, you set your goal, right? That is what we mean by strategy. But to achieve your goal, to reach your goal, to approach your goal, you need to do something, right? The how is what we want to cover in the second half of our class, of our course. Is that clear? Okay? So that is basically the plan. Okay? Usually we will have a competition in the midterm, but well, we don't have time to do that. I just want you to submit a report, right? Look into the data and build a notebook, right? Basically, build a notebook. Look into the data and find out the most insightful, most important, impactful information, right? And set your strategy. By strategy, I mean that what is our marketing focus, right? Which customer segment do I want to focus, right? And what is the characteristic of that, of our focus group, right? And how much do you want to improve, right? The performance of this group. Right? That is what I mean by strategy. And you need to like have a rationale, right? You need to have a logic, right? By linking what you have found in the data to the strategy that you suggest. Okay? And that is like at the week of November the 22nd, that is what we want to do, right? Want you to do. Okay? And that will be kind of like, it's just another team assignment. But that team assignment is more important than the others because it will be treated like the midterm report. Get my point? Okay? Good. Okay, so we set the stage already. Let's move forward. Any question up to this point of time? Still good, huh? Still good. So let's look at comparing the trends. Well, ggplot is a very sophisticated sophisticated tool, right? I give you the cheat sheet card, right? Okay, there are a lot of plot, but the most important three thing is geom point, which is scatter plot, geom bar, which is the bar plot, and then geom line. Okay, geom point is to compare the individual, compare the attribute across the individual. Geom bar is to compare among groups and subgroups. Okay, so what is the purpose of geom line? It is to comparing the trend, isn't it? Right? Because line is better. If you are looking for trend, line is a lot better than bar and plot and point, right? Isn't it? Right? So geom line is basically a tool for. It's basically a tool for discovering trends. Okay. Okay. So let's still use the uh, uh, the comic data set as an example. Okay. So let me put it larger. Now reading the data, and then remember this dplyr command count, right? Count is very useful, right? So I count the year. If I count the year variable in the D data frame, I actually, what would I have? I actually would have another data frame, and every year has a count, right? Okay, so it's very intuitive and very useful. Let's go into. Okay, so far uh, code your code folder should look like this, right? Okay, so every week you have a folder. The Tafang data is here, and this is the ggplot, right? So you go to ggplot and go to and click on the ggline RMD. We already see. Remember to set the working directory, right? So you won't get into trouble. Then, as I say, if I want to execute everything on top of this, I'll press this button. So now I have this character data set data frame here, right? So if I count, sorry, if I count it by year, right? What will I have? So this is what I have, right? I count it by year, so actually I have a total of 78, which means that every year I will have a count, right? Every year I will have the number of characters appear in that year, isn't it? Right? So how can I how do we visualize the data of this kind? Because this year variable is actually a numeric variable, right? Isn't it? And it is a continuous numeric variable, right? So the best way to represent this is to plot it as a line, isn't it? Right? So see how easy it can be done in the ggplot. See, uh, do I need to make it maybe a little larger? Yeah. Okay, so you see that I have this. I told you already, right? If you want to see the result of this expression, you just select it and press Control Enter. In sometimes the answer will go here. Sometimes the answer is here. Depends on where you want to put the output, right? If you choose output to console, the output will come here. If you choose output to inline, the output will be here, right? So it depends on your preference. Okay. Let me show it to you. if I do output in line, right? Then when I do this, the output will be here, right? Okay, so, but I feel like to do this, right? Just my personal, uh, just my personal preference. Okay. So okay, if I execute everything, you will see that I will have a line plot, isn't it? Okay, because I like put this data frame into a ggplot, and I map ear to the x, right? I map ear. I think I map ear into sorry, this is a little. I map ear in the x into x. I map n into y, right? So and I say I want to plot a line, right? So that is what we get, right? Okay, so easy, isn't it, right? So how about if I want to see the number of character by publisher? Now the beauty of ggplot is like if you want to compare the two publisher, you just do this, right? Now you count D by year and by publisher, isn't it? Okay, so if I do this, now per publisher per year I will have a record, right? And then I simply map year n to x and y, and then I map publisher to color, right? Okay, and this size equal to 1 is just to control the line width, right? You can change it to like 2, and you will go wider, something like that, right? So you can try it by yourself, or you can like just do the detail, do the default, right? Okay, it looks like size equal to 1 is better, right? Okay. Uh, so remember that the most important thing in ggplot is you can map your variable, right? You can map your column into the geographical attribute, right? In this case, we map publisher to the color of line, right? So in this way, you can compare among different groups, right? Actually, exploration data, if you analyze data, there are two basic things of data analysis. First thing is exploration, right? Which is what we are doing now, what we have done in the first half of this course, right? This is exploration. And exploration is all about comparison. Okay? Right? Right? Exploration is all about comparison, right? And with ggplot, you actually can compare, right? You can compare the attribute of different group, of different subject. Compare the attribute by mapping the variables into the size, color, shape, x, y coordinate, right? That is the beauty of ggplot. Okay. Now, if we look into this plot, what have we seen? We will see that actually, well, somehow there is a there's a period that the DC and Marvel is inactive, right? Okay, so this is actually World War II, you know. This is actually World War II. Okay, so after World War II, then some year after World War II, I should say that, the comics come back, right? And as you can see that Marvel is going first, right? It actually at this period of time, Marvel is much more active than DC, right? And then DC kind of catch up, right? Okay, this is like 80 something. It's the time when Superman come into play, right? Okay, and then like the Marvel actually pick up again, right? Okay, so this is basically the trend, and I believe that this falling is not really a trend. This every line plot. This is the last period, right? The last period might not finished, right? So this last period we can like kind of like ignore them, right? Okay. So so we see the trend like this, right? So it looks like uh, the number of characters is still growing, right? In Marvel, but DC is kind of stable for a while already. Okay. But there's a problem in this line plot. You can see that there's a lot of like it's bouncing up and down, right? If we want to observe trend, right? Sometimes we don't like this up and down, right? Because it's like it's not really trend, right? It's kind of like random noise, right? In your data, right? So there's a way to remove this jitter, this arrow, and we will do that after the break. Okay. Now let's take a 10 minutes break. And we'll be back at 10 minutes after 10.